Brookville. That's in 2 weeks or 2 months. In April, later this month, we are going to do Lake Alexandria. And I think there's another trip. There's trips every month. They're either local here or as far as, like I said, Brookville, Indiana, which really isn't that far. And they'll be varying either ponds or small lakes. It could be like a tailwater. There's one at Gunpowder Creek. So anyway, check the calendar and register. It's best if you do that so we know how many people are coming. Also, I'll be doing some random meetups. So if you've gotten my emails, ladies, and you want to be a part of the random quick meetups, which could be a day's notice or maybe even a week's notice, shoot me an email and your phone number and say, yes, I'd like to be on that text chain. Also, one small thing, one correction for the calendar, we had Susan Thrasher trip down to Southern Brookies on Mother's Day weekend. We could not get enough people to fill that trip. So I gave Susan the time back so she could actually still hold her class because she had people interested in taking her casting clinic. So right now we canceled that trip, but we will have her on the calendar again. Maybe we could find something for the fall, or maybe we can have her back up here again when all this COVID stuff subsides. So look for that in the future. And if you all have anything, please reach out to me. If you're not getting my emails, also reach out to me because they could be old or they could be an email that you don't use anymore, or you have a new email or new phone number you want to share with me. So yes, please reach out. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Carrie.
Okay, Jack.
If you want them to reach out.
Hi. Just a moment about Wyoming, right? And so we have a trip scheduled in August to Wyoming Buffalo Bill Camp for the Boy Scouts. It's August 8th through the 14th. Most of the folks that were interested have already signed up for that and paid at least a deposit on that. We have one thing that happened. Glenn and his wife are no longer going to be at the camp this year.
Wow.
So things are kind of changing on that front. I still have yet to call the camp and make sure everything's good, but Glenn told me that as far as he knew that things were okay on that front. So if you're signed up, look for a note on that real soon. I just have yet to contact a camp on that. So
Jack,
yes,
this is Tim. I did talk to Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
And they are all set. They've got a cook, and they'll actually have more staff this year than they have the last two. So there'll be plenty of staff and plenty of food. I will miss Glenn as well, but it looks like they're all set.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. So things are still on. If you are interested and you haven't signed up yet, please give me a shout. You can reach me at jack@nkff.org. And I'll be happy to talk to you, give you information. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Walter, did I see your hand up? You're on mute. Walter, you're on mute. You're muted.
There we go. Do you know how many slots you have left, Jack?
Right now we had, I believe, 10 signed up. So we have roughly 14 or 15 remaining. Now I need to confirm that with camp as well, because, you know, Glenn told me, hey, you can, you know, we'll hold the 14 or so. But I need to confirm that with camp now that he's out. So
thanks.
Yep.
All right.
Jack,
So
one other thing. Did you have any other trips coming up that you wanted to mention?
I can real quick. I don't have exact dates. I apologize. I just got off work, just got home. So a little unprepared, but we do have, so look, if you're into white bass fishing and lots of numbers of fish, we got some trips here coming up soon on that. There's, I think, 2 to 3 of those coming up in April and May. So, so look at the calendar for that. Those are day trips to like Liberty, Indiana, and other local places. Fun trips if you hit the fish on the right day. A couple of years ago, myself and another NKF member and others had like a 200 fish day. So,
oh wow,
it was a blast. But you, of course, that we hit them just right on that particular day. And then also in June, I think Carrie mentioned, you know, Susan Thrasher, we do have an all-member trip as well as for the women scheduled. We've got like eight or so spots open with her on June, the weekend of June 4th. So that's coming up in a couple of months. If you're interested in that, please sign up on the site.
do you have anything else, Jack?
Not right now.
Okay, thank you.
I have one.
Okay.
The 26th, 27th of this month, April, Mike Arnold had set with in South Bend with Ripple Guide Service to Steelhead.
Right.
And so far, I think Mike and I are the only two going. And there's actually one spot for a full day and 3 spots for half days. Mike's going to do a half day and I wanted to do a full day. So we're looking for some people that are interested in catching big fish, big fish, big fish.
I appreciate that, Chris. In fact, I'm interested in that trip. I sent Mike a note yesterday or today. I'd be willing to do the full day with you if you're up
all
for
right.
that. And
I won't catch all the fish. I'll let you have one.
But that's steelhead in northern Indiana, right? So big fish, 20 to 30 to 35-inch fish in good time. So if you like to feel the tug, that's a great trip.
It is a great trip. So anybody, Dustin is an awesome guide. So it's just a great trip altogether. All right. I guess Mike's not on to talk about any of his stuff. So we'll move on to the Fly Fishers International. Tim, you want to take that away?
Well, I just wanted to mention to people that in case you didn't know it, we are an affiliate member of Fly Fishers International. Totally, man. And they have tremendous educational opportunities among many other opportunities. So you'll be seeing a lot of mail coming to you, email coming to you regarding the benefits of Fly Fishers International. And we would love to see a higher percentage of club members become members of Fly Fishers International. I'm not going to spend any more time on that because I will be sending out emails regarding the benefits. But I just wanted to remind people that we are an affiliate member of Fly Fishers International, and it's a very important organization. That's it.
Okay, so you you were going to talk about Valerie also? Valerie Asprin?
Yeah, I thought we'd get this up sooner, but we just, Randy and I just got up the book sale. So Valerie Asprin is the co-author of Fly Fishing Kentucky. She spoke to us about a year and a half ago and was one of the best speakers we've ever had. Her co-author passed away in December of 2019, but she kept him on as a co-author. He was really a spectacular guy. And Valerie has offered her book to us for, it's actually $16. It retails for nearly $20. And she will also sign it personally. So, you know, to Bill or to Jack or whatever. And she's added to the second edition, which this is, quite a number of new streams, including Gunpowder Creek, and also mentions the role that Northern Kentucky fly fishers has played in the reclamation of Gunpowder Creek. So you'll be seeing that coming in the next few days, and that's it.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move right on into our presentation. So we have Jesse Bowles and Mitchell Bowles. Are you guys brothers? Where you at?
Yes, we are brothers.
Yep.
Can you guess which one's older?
Huh?
Can you guess which one's older?
I can't. You're too far away. I can't tell.
No, but
The one on the left.
that is correct. Yes. Yep,
well, I say the one in the dark color is the younger guy. Right?
Oh, he's the older brother. I'm the older, smaller one.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are going to talk about Hatchery Creek. So if you guys want to go ahead and take it away.
Let me see if I can share my screen here. One second.
Do you want me to share your screen, or do you know how to do it?
I believe so. Let me see if I can share.
Good for you.
Giving me too many options at the moment. Right. All right.
All right.
All right.
Good. All right. So we work for Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm Mitchell Bowles. I am a fisheries technician at the Stream and Wetland Program. My background is in natural resources, environmental science. I got a degree from University of Kentucky. I have been with FELO which is the Stream and Wetland Program, for 4 years now. And on a daily basis, I am the vegetation person. I assist with biological sampling and stuff like that.
And as Mitchell said, I'm Jesse Bowles, Mitchell's brother, and by trade I'm a civil engineer, and I work alongside Mitchell. I guess not every day, but it's pretty neat getting to see your brother all the time at work. But anyways, my day-to-day is I'm more of the construction oversight, permitting for these projects, and just project development. So just going to give you a little introduction. Like I said, I work for Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. We do wetland and stream mitigation, or we primarily, Mitchell and I, do wetland and stream mitigation. We don't work with, I guess, the rest. I don't know what I'm saying here. I apologize. I'm a little nervous to start this out. So.
Oh, you don't need to be nervous.
Yeah, just relax.
I can't help it right now. I don't. Yeah, so we're a little bit separate from the rest of fisheries, but we are a part of fisheries. So I'm gonna jump into this. Okay. A little bit of overview about our program. Our program started in 2012 with the Army Corps of Engineers. We're a team of biologists, one attorney, and a few engineers, accountant, and scientists. We've done projects, mitigation on 800,000 plus linear feet of stream, and that's stream restoration and preservation, everything in between. We've constructed over 40 projects up to this date, and we have many, many more coming. So. Just to show you what exactly mitigation is. Mitigation is replacing what is lost. So we do that for both stream and wetlands. And if you can see down here in this bottom left corner, this is an example of an impact that we would do mitigation for. As you can imagine, there was a nice stream or wetland or both down in this valley, and someone came in and mined it or put a road there and destroyed what was there. And so they have to pay for that impact. So they have to either replace that stream or wetland themselves, or they can pay into our fund and put that responsibility on us. So, and a lot of times we go in and we like our streams to look nice and pretty like this, and we like to replace them and make them as nice as can be. A little bit more of a brief interview about our program, introduction about our program. We work in 11 service areas. And what we do is right now there are the major river basins in Kentucky, the Green River Basin, the Upper and Lower Licking, for example, the Salt River. And what we do is for all the impacts in those areas, we pull that money to make a project. And so we may take payments for 10, 20, 30 different impacts and maybe make 1 or 5 or 6 projects out of that. So we were able to pull money to make, I guess, one viable project. So we don't have to replace it, you know, this little impact with a little project. We can pull them to make it a better project or whatever we're able to find. So let's get into Hatchery Creek. So Hatchery Creek is a one-of-a-kind project. This situation will likely not happen again. And the reason for that is it is the outflow of the hatchery there at the National Trout Hatchery. So the water that comes out of the pipe is exactly 25 CFS for most of the year. And with that being your control flow and very little drainage area within the project, the flows just do not change much. And that is very unique in Kentucky. As you all know, streams in Kentucky are very, very flashy. Well, this stream is not very flashy because it has, like I said, it has pretty much no upstream watershed, and it just has a small local watershed. So water doesn't get up very often. I don't know how many of y'all have been there, but I bet the water was not very high most of the time. And also because it is a fish hatchery, they control the temperature in the hatchery to raise the trout appropriately. And the hatcheries themselves, they have control, or they're able to control what part of the lake they're pulling from to get the right temperature for the hatchery. And the other note I have on here is about Upstream Connection. There really isn't an upstream watershed, so you're not getting the sediment supply that comes from upstream. And like I said, you just don't get the flashy watershed either. So, little project information. Hatchery Creek, it was 1,000 feet long, and we made it 6,000 feet long. We gave it an entirely new pattern in a place where there was not a stream. Most of it before was just, actually it was like pine forest in a lot of places and woods, and there was a few wetlands in there. And we rerouted the stream toward downriver, an extra 5,000 feet. It was, like I said, 1,000 foot long of it was dumped into an old ravine, and all the water they were putting in there was just too much water for that ravine, and it was eroding all stable habitat out of there, and it was eroding the banks. I don't know if you all had seen it before, but we actually used to fish there when we were a kid, and it looks quite a bit different, and it was actually a little bit dangerous to climb down in. But also, along with the project, we're doing 6,000 feet of stream restoration. We did 5 acres of wetland protection and restoration. And that was a pretty a challenging component of the project, but a very important component of the project. The step pools, they, at the very end of the project, they dropped 26 feet down into the Cumberland River. I don't know if, like I said, if y'all have seen it, but it's a pretty amazing view. It's very pretty, and it's pretty neat. And first fun fact I have on here is you could bury a football field 16 feet in dirt removed from the step pool reach. We excavated that much material, and I remember having our contractors working in there, and that was a very challenging area. Just to let everybody know exactly where the project's located, as you can see, it's about a 3-hour drive from Florence. On the questionnaire, a few of y'all asked where to stay. Part of the project goes straight through Kendall Campground. And actually it goes through the annex of the Kendall Campground. And it's a really nice campground to stay. We've stayed there since we were kids. It's a nice place. The original side of the campground is very shaded. The new side, the annex, is not as much, but it's still nice as well. And you're only, I don't know how many miles from the state park, probably not a 15-minute drive to the state park there. And that's a nice place as well. So here are the mitigation project goals were to generate credits to offset losses in the lower Cumberland River watershed, and like in the map I showed you earlier. So this project was built directly to replace impacts in the lower Cumberland River watershed. And it was also to provide stable stream habitat with stable banks, stable stream bed, and that has been very successful. And the additional benefit to this project was sustainable trout fishery. And here's a nice picture of the wetlands areas. A little bit of timeline on the project. Long ago, it was pretty much a dream for, I don't know if y'all know James Gray, who's the manager of the fish hatchery down there. And he dreamed up an idea, and I think he tried many different ways to get the project funded. And I don't know, probably 2010, I don't have it on there, or maybe a little bit after, came in contact with us, and we started working on this project. And we started designing the project, and the project was built, and we diverted water into the channel in 2015. We let it rest for a year. We wanted our vegetation to grow robust as it could before we had people walking in and out. And we also wanted a year to watch it and see how it formed. And then in 2020, we finished our active monitoring. And what that is after we finished building the project, we had a group of consultants, of engineers and biologists and scientists as well, study the project and make sure that the project was remaining stable, study the vegetation, and just active monitor it a couple of times a year even. And we report that to the Corps as well. So after that was complete, the project is pretty much released of all credits. So by the Army Corps of Engineers, the project was a success. And now from forever on, our project will be, we kind of have passive monitoring where we will just kind of see the site once a year, make sure everything is kind of holding together, and just check it out pretty much. Are y'all seeing the slideshow, or y'all seeing the slides on the side?
We're seeing the slides on the side as well.
Right.
Okay, sorry for that. Whoops.
Yeah, you should go to full screen view if you can. Look at view.
All right.
Or slideshow. Yeah.
That's what I thought I was doing.
No, maybe go to slideshow. Back up. Slideshow from current slide.
Are y'all seeing that or the wrong slide?
Well, it's unfortunately
it's the beginning.
it's not full screen. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about this.
That's all right.
All right. Well, I'll go through one last slide. I'm going to move this around just because we're having technical difficulties a little bit on my part.
Okay.
So we designed this channel through natural channel design, which is a common, probably the most popular style of designing streams in the United States. It's done throughout the United States. And one of the key components to natural channel design is getting proper grade control. And what I have listed here are many types of grade control. And there are many other types, but these are the types we use in this project. And I'll show you here here's our design schematic here. And as you see here, here's a rock and roll riffle. We don't do a whole lot of these. This was fairly unique to this project. And then in this one, there's a boulder jam riffle and a boulder cluster riffle. And here is a picture of this is the rock and roll riffle right here. I believe this is the boulder riffle just upstream of it. And this is actually a picture of when we had the water turn loose. And we were there, we watched the water turn loose. So the water is kind of full in the channel right here, but not quite here yet. And the reason I added this picture is so you can kind of see it from both perspectives. So like I said, the purpose of these structures is for grade control for the stream, but they're also there for habitat. And all these different type of riffles provide different type of niche space, different type of flow seams, just in the riffle structure, just to provide different habitat, but at the same time, like I said, holding the grade of the stream. Fun fact, we used 150 boulders that weighed 4,000 pounds each, and that was in the step pool system. It is very, very robust, and it would take quite a storm to move those. So I'm going to pass it over to Mitchell. Yep.
All right, now we're going to go that boring engineer talk, so we start talking about fish is what we really care about, correct? actually, we have one more that's not. All right, so habitat implementation, sorry. So we did a lot of bank stabilization. Pretty much what we're doing is just trying to make sure that when this monitored flow goes through there, that it's not going to erode the banks away, and we're going to get a bunch of sediment in the stream. So what we did is we put a variety of different ones. Wood toe, which is where we kind of bury these big stumps and like their root rods back into the bank. And it provides all kinds of good habitat for macroinvertebrates to grow on, creates a good area for fish to be able to hide in, stuff like that. It's actually really wonderful. And as well, it also creates scour. So that way you have those nice pools and those bins and stuff like that. You get that deep water where fish are able to hang out and wait for little stuff to come out of there and hopefully hit your all's flies. We also did these things called lock veins, which as well are a pretty similar thing. They run along the bank. They kind of imitate an overhanging bank, allowing fish to be able to hide underneath there and get ready to lunge out at something that's floating by. Lunker bunkers was another idea we had. I don't know if you all know Brad Redmond. That was kind of his brainchild right there. They, however, did have a slight flaw in them. They kind of filled up with a little bit of the sediment when we first turned on the water, but hopefully now they're back to normal. But when it first started, they had a little bit of issues of getting sediment in there and not being able to run fishing. All right, habitat, all right, so depth and flow variability. So our goal was to pretty much allow this system to be the most, I guess, incorporate a bunch of different depths of flows. So that way there's all kinds of habitats for all stages of fish. And as well, different areas for them to feed and rest, and all the different types of feeding, like filter feeding, active feeding, come to the top. So so we worked pretty hard on trying to get this design in there so we can have a bunch of different variability in it. So like the braided section, it's got some deeper pools in it, and allows for a little bit of resting for them and stuff like that, and allows for an area for smaller fish to hopefully not fall predator to big fish. All right, so habitat utilization. So our group in Stantec, we did a study where we went through and snorkeled. I don't know if you all saw us out there snorkeling through the stream. We looked pretty ridiculous with wetsuits on and just trying to motorboat through. But what we were doing is we were looking for what habitat the fish were using, as well as looking where reds were. So what we would do is we would be down snorkeling. Anytime we saw a fish, we'd go over and we'd stick a flag in the ground. And afterward, we'd come back and take data on what the sediment was there, what bed material was, the flow type, the temperature of the water, and the velocity. That way we can learn more about what they're using and stuff like that. So this is the chart that we ended up getting from them. They compiled the data for us, Stantec did. But as you can see though, large woody debris was not a big time user, which was pretty shocking for me. I know I've had luck on the large woody debris, at least on the river and stuff like that. I haven't fished Hatchery Creek too terribly much, so. But the large woody debris is no pretty good for me. But it's pretty interesting to see where they're hanging out, and where the reds were and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. All right, so surprise that we have. I know you guys have probably seen the Beaver Dams down there that they built. I have spent many a day out there trying to remove them, where that we don't see that 100% as a problem. I mean, we try to remove them when we see them, but it's not something that we're going to be actively doing in the future. But that doesn't mean that you all can't, as fishermen, remove those beaver dams to the side. We just can't do that all the time, just because we have, like Jesse said, we have over 40 projects, so we have a lot of other stuff to do, so we're not going to be able to be down there all the time. But a pleasant surprise was early trout migration. Just 4 days after we turned on the water, we had trout moving up the stream, and that actually is the picture of the first trout that we spotted, which is pretty neat. So yeah, it was quick. I was shocked. It was 4 days, and that's it. Other surprises would be vegetation. We actually ended up, as you guys know, the aquatic vegetation out there can be a little bit cumbersome for fly fishing. And we actually have a lot of problems with terrestrial invasives, but I'll go more into detail of that in a later slide. The biggest surprise for us was the sinkhole, where at the very upstream end of the project, there's a trib that comes into it. There was a sinkhole on that trib where it is outside of our project. It was a worry of ours because we didn't really want it to pull flow away from the stream and change the flow that we designed for. So, but for our luck, since it was on U.S. Army Corps of Engineers property, they went through and filled it with riprap and bentonite, which is a more natural concrete. And hopefully that problem is solved and we don't have to deal with that anymore. All right, vegetation. So I know you guys are angry about this vegetation, or not angry, but I know it makes it difficult. This vegetation, it makes, you know, tough for casting and stuff like that. But we are obligated through our instrument with the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that this is a forested area. So we have to plant trees. We have to make sure that it becomes a tight, canopy closed, enclosed stream. Which is good for the stream though, because, you know, as soon as that canopy closes up, it adds leaves, which is, provides all kinds of habitats, macroinvertebrates. It provides shade for the fish, cooling the water down even more. It allows terrestrial bugs to fall into the water and let the fish be able to eat them. So that's our goal, main goal is to have this be a forested stream. So invasives were a big problem though. We have two major issues out there. One being Sericea lespedeza, which is kind of that shrubby grass that's out there. You'll see it as soon as you walk down from the parking lot that's closest to the big culvert. What we're doing on that one, it's a non-shade tolerant species. So instead of going through and nuking the site, we are hoping that these trees will shade them out. And they should actually do that. And then they won't be able to survive past that. The other one is autumn olive. I know you guys have seen that out there. My boss and I are down there at least a week or two a year. We go down there, with a weed eater with a blade on it and backpack spray the stumps so we don't have them sprout back up. But it is very tough because we're only allowed to treat in our corridor, which is the part that pretty much Fish and Wildlife is in control of. And right outside of that is U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And there is an ample supply of seed source autumn olive there. So it is going to be a losing battle always, but we're trying our best on that and hoping to get rid of those at some point. So another big issue, and I know you guys have a lot of concerns about it, is the aquatic vegetation. The aquatic vegetation out there is a native vegetation. It is pretty bad, but the reason for that is it's kind of a perfect storm for aquatic vegetation out there. You have a good amount of nutrients moving in through the hatchery, you know, like all the feed, all the excrement washing through there. So it's going to provide so much nutrients for them to be able to be able to grow and stuff like that. As well, like Jesse said, it's a cold water that's coming from down in Cumberland or whatever. So it's pretty cold water, which allows a lot of oxygen, which is what allows our trout to be able to survive, and a lot of CO2 to be retained in it. With these two gases being retained in there, it just makes these plants be able to grow exponentially. It's ridiculous. And as well, like Jesse said, we have 25 CFS, so it's a constant level. So where normal streams go up, you know, in the winter and spring and fall down in the fall, and a lot of that vegetation dies off in the fall, we don't have that option there. It's pretty much the same level no matter what. So therefore, that vegetation is going to be, it's just going to be where it's going to be. So, all right. So Hatchery Creek, this is a picture of the map of it. So we had some questions on trails out there. We are not allowed to make trails. It's part of the Corps' requirements. That doesn't mean that your all's foot traffic can't create trails to get to it. We personally are not allowed to make trails to give more access to different parts of the stream. It has to be created just by foot traffic or something like that. But one thing we have to say, if some of these foot traffic trails do start to cause destabilization in the stream, we will have to either take that trail and like kind of somehow close it down, maybe put logs across it or something like that, just because we can't risk we can't risk those trails causing problems with the stream and causing problems with the fishery. So sediment. So this stream is pretty interesting because, like Jesse said, there's no watershed above it, so there shouldn't be that much sediment coming into it. However, though, before this, though, it was just pretty much a drainage ditch, and as you can see in the picture, there's just a giant plume of sediment coming out. That's the previous one. That's not ours. So what our goal was is to try to minimize how much of that sediment is going into the stream. Therefore, it doesn't, because it can hurt the gills of fish down below, cause unwanted deposition, creating like different sandbar features or something like that in the actual Cumberland. So we were trying to do that as best we could. So there is some sand or like a silty soil in the stream. It's actually a native material though. That material actually was there, would be there if this was a completely undisturbed stream. So we left that there. It's actually pretty good for bugs. It allows bugs to colonize in somewhat. So it's not a bad thing. So it's not something that we see as unwanted, even though you can get stuck in it at times. So the fish community. So we did a little bit of shocking. Basically, our shocking was through Murray State. It was Murray State. Yeah. Murray State. We did what we found from when it was done until when the project was done until 2019 was rainbow trout, brown trout, and brook trout. It was dominantly rainbow. There were more browns at the beginning. They seem to have dissipated quite a bit. I don't know if there's any cutthroat up there. We haven't done any sampling since the cutthroat were released in the Cumberland, but it'd be cool. They were up there. But in 2019, we actually had a flood. The water in Cumberland River got up above the step pools, which acted as a barrier to not allow certain fish species up there for they don't predatorize like the eggs or the alvin or the fry. But so after the flood, though, we went back. We wanted to see if any of the populations changed. There still was an abundant amount of rainbow trout, brook trout, and brown trout seemed the same from the last shocking. However, though, we did find some new species. These were all in low numbers, though. The species are green sunfish, stone roller, white sucker, and creek chub. Which aren't really the worst things. Green sunfish probably would be the best thing in there because they can kind of be a pretty predatory fish. So we weren't too upset about it, but we'll be happy to see if they end up surviving there, making a healthy population in there. Trout reproduction. So for Jesse's fun fact over here, there's 36 million pounds of spawning, or 3.6 million pounds of spawning gravel we shipped in from out west, especially for trout reproduction. This was an exciting thing for us because we wanted to see if we were able to get a viable reproducing population. So this gravel and all the different habitats are vital to the whole spawning process. You know, the spawning gravels create this area. It's called the Hypermedia Zone, which allows a connection between the groundwater actually and the surface water, and it's like the best place for macroinvertebrates. So it's a good place for you know, the reds to lay their eggs, as well as the eggs to be able to attach to. The alvin to be able to pick up any microorganisms that are in there, and the fry even to get some of those insects and stuff like that. But all right, so we did the study with Murray State did the study for us. They go through and they would shock and like count pretty much look for the different age classes. They were able to find fish that looked like they were spawned in Hatchery Creek, which is pretty exciting. I worked at a fish hatchery before this, so and they also said this, we don't know 100% for sure though that they were spawned there. Hatcheries have release like waste all the time. Like this fish end up getting through somehow, some way. So it's hard for us to say that it's a definite, but it definitely is a possibility. We definitely got fish that were in the size class that would represent that they're spawning there. All right, so for bugs, they were slow to colonize, which is expected in all restoration. We go through, we disturb this area like tremendously. So it takes a while for them to come back into that habitat and treat it as a natural habitat. But we have had a slow increase on it. We've actually increased the number of species that are actually habitating that area versus the prior. So it's actually pretty interesting. We've had a lot of different caddises move in, a lot of different stoneflies and mayflies. I think it's up to 8 new species right now, which is absolutely amazing. But before that, the only thing we had pretty much was black flies, python larvae, and spinning caddis flies. And that was the only thing we had. So we have a good amount now. There are no, or not that I know of, there are no big hatches or anything like that. So if you guys are trying to go dry fly, and I wouldn't say you're going to have the best luck out there. I don't know though. I haven't seen it or heard of it too much, but not saying that they don't come off, but there's no big hatches. So stocking. So you can find this in our Kentucky fishing and boating guide. We actually do not stock lower Hatchery Creek, which is the fly fishing section, the only artificial lure section. But we do stock the upper Hatchery Creek. It gets 32,100 rainbow trout each year. Some of those fish do flush down, but I would say that most of our fish actually come up through the step pools and populate the creek that way, which is actually pretty awesome. It's sweet that they do that. The Cumberland River as well as stocked, and they have information on that in the guide there as well. I don't have those numbers on me, but that's where your browns and brooks and cutthroat will come up. Rules and regulations. So as you all know, Lower Hatchery Creek is artificial only and catch and release only. The upper is there's no limit on size, and there is a 5-day krill limit right now. So they're allowed to keep five fish a day.
That's any size.
Any size. Any size. Yes. I have heard that some fish are able to make it up the barrier that we put in. I have not seen that myself, and I know some people get pretty upset about that, but we have no way of controlling that at this point. Their trout are amazing. They can get pretty much anywhere they want to go. There's no stopping really. I think this is you.
So with our project expectations, we consider this a very successful mitigation project. And a very successful mitigation project with a pretty unique fishing opportunity attached to it. Like I said before, it is a one-of-a-kind project, and we like it quite a bit, and we like to talk about it. So we consider it a very big success. Some other mitigation projects that we have around the state that also have some fishing opportunities. Like I said, Hatchery Creek is the most unique, but these other ones they have their own neat things about them. East Fork Indian Creek, which is in the Red River Gorge, it is open to the public. That is also a stock stream. That is a project of ours that we completed, that we built a few years back, and we're in the middle of a few repairs there. We've had some pretty drastic floods there, but it's still continually stocked with trout. There are other fish there as well. Another pretty neat project, Tramwell Creek, is in Allen County, Southern Kentucky. It used to be volunteer public access with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. I don't believe it is anymore, but it is also stocked with trout. I also know it's a very good smallmouth fishery. And that one as well, it is going through a few minor repairs on that one. Ross Creek, this is one of our latest completed projects. Construction just finished up this last year. It is a tributary to the Kentucky River and Lee and Ethel counties. And I have not seen the fish there myself, but it seems like it is a large enough stream to supply some good habitat. So I'm interested in what it does. And it actually would probably be open to the public, I think, maybe this week. So that's a pretty neat project as well. A few potential projects. Some of these, I know y'all know the names of these a little bit better. Mill Creek, I don't know if you know Tom Van Arsel. He's up there, he works for us. He's looking around for some projects, and he's looked at a few places on Middle Creek, a few tributaries to Middle Creek. And like I said, those are potential projects. They're not necessarily approved through our Army Corps and all that, but we're working on those. Same with Gunpowder Creek. So we're looking at those, and those are, if they were approved, they're still a few years out on being constructed. But Otter Creek, I'm sure you all have heard about Otter Creek. We have been actually working on that project for a while. It would be the largest stream that we have ever worked on. We've run into a few problems in the permitting stage right now, but hopefully that one gets back on track soon. That one would be a very neat project. I know it is stocked with trout and it is a good fishery. Seems like all the way around on that one. So,
and if you guys haven't heard of Tramwell Creek, it is supposed to have holdover as well. They apparently need some pretty good sized browns and rainbows. So Tramwell Creek is a good one to fish.
Our club is working on doing some projects for gunpowder.
What's that?
I said our club is working with Fish and Wildlife for some project for Gunpowder Creek.
Nice, excellent. Who are you working with?
Tim, you guys know more. We're working with Fish and Wildlife, but we're working with Boone County, right?
Yeah, David Whitehouse, among others.
Yeah, it's more Boone County Parks than it is Fish
Right.
and Wildlife.
Okay, I know we're trying to partner with Boone County Conservancy.
Yeah, and then
Right.
Mark Jacobs with the
That's the name.
Yeah, with the Conservation District. He and I were talking last night, and evidently some of the philo money from the Amazon project up here hopefully will be used on some portions of Gunpowder Creek. So
we have already bought 3 properties up there. They are tribs to Middle Creek. We've bought 3 of those already, and we've already done fish sampling on them. Nothing too exciting so far unless you're into macro or micro fishing. Nothing too exciting on those, but hopefully it'll help out Middle Creek no matter what.
But like I said, the Amazon money, that is going to be directly applied to those projects if they are approved.
Right.
Right.
Just if you want to know more information about our program, you can find us. There's a link at the top there. We actually have a brand new website, so it's you got to fumble back through it if you knew the old one. But if you click on the main page, click on fishing, and scroll down, there'll be a small link to the Stream Team program, and that'll take you to this page. If I remember correctly, I think there is a specific page for Hatchery Creek on that one as well. So.
Okay.
And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Okay. If you'll stop sharing your screen.
Sure.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
I have a follow-up question on gunpowder.
Yes, sir.
You know, gunpowder is a tremendous underutilized resource here in Northern Kentucky. In your all's opinion, what could the club do or the members do that could expedite that priority to make that into one of the designated streams for mitigation and enhancement?
I'm not sure what the club can do right now. I know that if you are talking to people like Mark Jacobs, who is in contact with our folks, then they will, I mean, they can communicate to Tom Van Arsel, the guy that's working up there for us, and maybe focus his efforts. But I know there's already a pretty good push to look at Gunpowder Creek. I know we're looking at 1 or maybe 2 or 3 projects up there. So it's something we're already looking at.
But this process, though, of getting projects designed, getting them permitted, and getting it to construction takes a very long time. I mean, it's not something that happens overnight. I wish it was. We all do in our program. But as you all know, government sometimes has a little bit too much red tape and can cause things to gum up and slow down. So it's hard for, there's not really a person or a thing that can help move these projects along. Just getting in contact with Mark Jacobs, though, is pretty good thing to do, though.
We've got a real good relationship with Mark. So
he's a good guy.
Good.
I have a question. I think I heard you say, I just want to verify that we as fly fishers, when we're down there and see a beaver dam, we're welcome to try to remove it. Is that right?
That is correct. We will remove them if we're down there sometimes, but we just can't be down there all the time. But you guys are down there, and if you guys see them, you're allowed to remove them. Try to get them far enough off the bank, though, that it's not just gonna flow down and cause some other kind of scour issue or something like that. Right. You are more than welcome to do that.
Dynamite is not an alternative.
It's not an acceptable form of.
That tough.
It's got to be hand done.
All right.
C4 is.
C4 is the same.
By the way, if anybody has questions, just unmute yourself and ask them.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Say that again.
If anybody does have questions, just unmute yourself and ask them. We won't be too formal here. Well, there's another question via. Could you be more specific about the types of caddis mayflies and stones that are colonizing Hatchery Creek?
We don't have that information right now. We're waiting to get that back from Murray because we normally do a lot of our fish and bug stuff, but to kind of keep it out of like the public eye with that, we subbed it out to Murray State and they did a research project with it. So I can look into getting that information from them and should be able to send it to you, and you can probably share it throughout the group if you want me to do that.
Very good.
Does Hatchery Creek have the same size limitations as Cumberland River?
Yes, Hatchery Creek does have the same size limit. No, you can't keep any fish in Hatchery Creek. It's a catch and release only.
for the lower Hatchery Creek. I don't know if we showed a good map of that earlier. The upper Hatchery Creek, there is no size limit. You can keep 5 fish. I think it's like 300 foot long. There's concrete paths on one side and maybe even gravel on the other. Lower Hatchery Creek is the 6,000 feet that goes through the woods. And like Mitchell said, there it is catch and release only, artificial lure only. And then Cumberland River has its own regulations. I think, I don't remember them exactly, but definitely check the guide every year because they do tend to change.
Okay. Good question. Bill, you're muted if you're trying to ask a question.
Thank you.
Bill Renner.
Any recommendations on what time of the years are best to go to the and fly fish the lower parts?
I would personally recommend. Well, the reason why I recommend I would recommend winter because it seems to be a lot less crowded. It is a very crowded stream. It's became very popular, so it gets packed. Even on weekdays when we're down there working, there is a lot of people down there. So that's personally when I would go, but or fall, winter, somewhere in there.
I was about to say, an old friend of mine who liked to fish the old Hatchery Creek always went down there in the fall for the browns. And I haven't talked to him in a few years, but he had planned to go down there in the fall to chase the browns each year. But I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'm not sure.
You know, considering how successful Hatchery Creek has been, is there any how should I say, is there any indications that Kentucky might do some more projects like this, because it's been a tremendous success?
We're not going to be able to do a project exactly like this again because it is kind of a one-of-a-kind project just for the fact that it's right below the dam. So we do have that cold water, and we do have a pretty self-sustaining trout population in Cumberland as well. Like most of the rivers in Kentucky below those dams, it's still not able to sustain trout. I know the Dix River might be able to, but I don't think there's any controlled outflow out of there that we could tap into to create another project like that.
Yeah, like Mitchell said, we love that project. I remember when we built this, I remember the consultants would say this is a one-of-a-kind project in like the United States. This situation just doesn't happen very often. So.
But there will be lots of stream restoration to come.
Yes, we will. That's what we do every day, looking for more projects, building more projects.
Now, most people that go down there now think, and myself included, that the degree of sedimentation in Hatchery Creek is excessive, way beyond what we would expect. But I think I heard you say that's not true.
Yeah, there shouldn't be that much sediment moving through that system because there is no input of sediment. So there really shouldn't be too much sediment in there. There definitely is some, but it's because it's like native material. So it's what it's supposed to be there. So it's tough to get rid of it if it's supposed to be there. But I don't know how to ask that. Is you got any other that question?
Not really.
And where is the excessive sediment that you're talking about? Let me ask you. Like, is it in the pools or is it in riffles or where?
From my observations, it's in the in the parts of the stream that are, 3-4 feet deep or less, and where the bottom is clearly visible.
Yeah,
and on the covering some of the rocks on the bottom on the stream bed.
Really? I don't know where that sediment could be coming from, I guess.
No, I mean, like Mitchell said, there's really not an upstream input for sediment. And we built the stream banks to be stable and not supply sediment to the project. Some of the braids that were built with vertical banks for the purpose of underhanging banks for habitat. And there could be some small erosion there, but that should settle out over time. And that's the only thing I can think of where that's coming from.
Right. And then the most frequent concern that I hear articulated is the overgrowth of whatever that stuff is on the bottom, the green stuff on the bottom, the salad that.
Yeah, it is. It's just a perfect mixture for vegetation, aquatic vegetation to grow. And we can't do anything about that, honestly. We really can't. It's something that we can't deal with. It's just.
Well, I do know there's a huge nutrient input from the hatchery. I mean, it must be enormous.
There definitely is. I mean, the amount of fish feed that they put out, the amount of excrement that goes through there is probably a ridiculous amount. So. But we can't.
Hey, Alan Hale, do you got any ideas?
You're muted, Alan.
You're muted.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, there's a couple things that can be done, and they can be done in conjunction with constructed wetlands, where you have subsurface flow as well as surface flow. And if you can control the flow through those wetlands, you can plant in those wetlands high nitrogen absorbing vegetation that'll suck that out before it gets downstream. And then, you know, you could shunt that water back into the main Hatchery Creek downstream flow. I wouldn't suggest doing the entire thing, but you could dilute it significantly and cut way back on the amount of vegetative growth.
Would that be something that's permissible?
It would have to be native plants, and we actually have a pretty good native plant population there right now. And in the wetlands, we have a pretty good native plant population we're pretty happy with. The only thing that we have out there in the wetlands is microstegium, which is Japanese stilt grass.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a pretty tough one to get rid of. It's like a spray, you get the spray it like something like 5 years in a row or something like that. And by us doing that, we'd be inputting a lot of, I mean, there's aquatic herbicides, but we'd still be putting a lot of herbicide into the system, as well as getting rid of native plants that provide a valuable attribute.
And we have constructed wetlands in those main two pockets, probably about a third of the way down and about 2/3 of the way down, that were designed as part of the project. If you're talking about adding wetland cells kind of upstream of the main flow, I'm not sure we'd be able to do that. The project kind of is deemed success, and we really can't do anything major changes to it.
Yeah, we'd have to get a new core permit, and that's a...
Yeah, and the Corps wouldn't even let us really change the pattern or even the stream type if it's deemed successful, you know, if there's no issues.
A friend of mine who's from the London area was telling me that he thought there was a project that was maybe under consideration for below the what's the lake down there, Laurel Lake, is that right?
Which one? There is Laurel Lake, which I've heard people call the little Cumberland, but I don't know of any specific projects right there. I don't think that would be with us.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But other people do stream projects around the state. Not necessarily all for mitigation, some for mitigation, but I don't know of that project myself.
And by the way, just on Tramwell Creek, there are two VPN sites for stream access, and The locations of those are included in Valerie Asprin's book. I've used them and they're very convenient.
So you all know, one of those might have closed, the one on Mr. Blankenship's property. It's not the one that's next to the church, the other one. Okay. He actually is not doing that well in health. His kids took over the property and I think they closed it down for public access.
Oh. So is that right near that bridge?
It's right next to one of the bridges, not the bridge next to the church, but the other.
That's too bad. That's a better fishery.
It definitely is.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a shame that it went away, but the kids did not want to continue that.
And that right there is actually one of our oldest projects. Yes, it's one of our oldest projects right there at the bridge you're talking about.
We do have plans for another project tying into that one, and we're going to go another mile down the stream, as well as fixing a few problem areas in that existing project.
Are there any other questions?
Not a question, Tim, but just a quick note. In the fall, I believe in the September timeframe, but don't hold me to this. I think there are a couple of trips, at least scheduled right now, to be down at Cumberland. One camping at the campground there at the dam, and another possibly staying at Kendall. There's some folks there at not Kendall, but at what's the first take or the second takeout down there?
Helms Landing.
Helms Landing, yeah. Thank you. So at Helms, there's a area there that has a few rooms and plenty of place to camp as well. So a couple of trips that are kind of scheduled, and hopefully COVID's gone by then. We may need to get some folks with boats, but there's also lots of kayaking opportunities on the main river, as well as the Hatchery Creek opportunity. So just something to look at.
They are on the calendar.
Yep.
The one of them is from the 8th to the 12th of September. And that's one of those trips where you don't have to come for the whole time. You can come in and out. And the other one is the following weekend, the 17th through the 19th of September.
Is that all trout? Is that Trout Camp? The time when Trout Camp is usually going on?
Well, Trout Camp is not happening this year.
Right.
Well, I don't know that it's canceled. They're just doing like weekend things. They're not doing like the full 10-day trout camp. That's Derby City that
right.
Sheila's talking about. So one of our Kentucky sister clubs, Derby City, some of our folks belong to. I'm a member of them as well.
Yeah, we are too.
And so they do some weekenders. So might have some of the same time frames there, but just something to look at if you're interested in checking out that fishery.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You talked about the gravel area seeming to hold more fish than some of the other areas. A bigger congregation is the way I understood it. So basically, is that gravel area you just fish in the bottom that's to get to where those fish are? And whereabouts are those gravel areas located in the stream?
I'm going to let Mitchell answer the fly fishing question, but the spawning gravel is mixed in throughout the project. There's a few projects that are a little heavier on it. If you know where the bridge is and go to Kendall Campground, just upstream and downstream of that, there's a pretty big concentration of it right there. But it is mixed in everywhere that's not, I don't think the wetland areas have a whole lot. But
the braided sections don't have
a whole lot, but anywhere where there's a single channel, it's usually concentrated. And like I said, generally those areas up and directly upstream and downstream of the culvert bridge to Kendall Annex.
Okay, any idea why they're hanging so much in the gravel? Is it collecting nutrients coming down from the hatchery, or what would be the attraction?
It definitely, it's probably not from nutrients from the hatchery. It's just the exchange in the Hypermedia Zone just creates this like good area for bugs and for fish to be able to find food. So it's an area where the groundwater exchange, it's kind of a newer studied area, but it just provides a good amount of I guess something to eat for the nutrients for the bugs and for fish. Hypermedia Zone, but I don't. What was your question about where to fish? What was that one?
So are you just fishing on the bottom, necessarily right there?
I wouldn't say directly on the bottom, but you just mainly want to find a good seam. So as long as you find a good seam, you should be fine. But stay closer to it, probably. But just watch out for that vegetation. It's pretty bad.
Thank you.
All right. We're about at 8:30, so why don't we go ahead and find out who our door prize winners are.
Thanks so much for the presentation. It was great.
Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. Yeah.
Thank you all for having me. And, sorry for the nerves and technical problemmes. But,
no problem.
No worries.
And we appreciate
We're used to technical problems.
I actually have one question.
Yes.
On one of, or actually two questions. On one of the surveys, somebody put, "How do I keep my wife from falling in the stream?" If that person's on there, that was a pretty funny, entertaining one to see. So we
won't say who said that.
And
it was me. It was funny watching her fall in.
Was that Eric?
She took it very well. We had to wash her off. right at the beginning of the lower creek. It's really slick right there.
That gave us quite a chuckle, so I appreciate that.
I think
so. And then, second, how do you guys join your group? I guess is the question.
How do we what?
Mark, you want to take that?
How does someone go about joining your all's group?
Oh, you can go online.
All right.
Go to nkff.org. And one of the navigation buttons is join us.
Right.
And so you can do it right there online, and you can pay online and the whole kit and caboodle. The website is chock full of information, and I'll bet you'd be able to add some suggestions to improve the website too. So we're always looking for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's $30 for an individual and $35 for a family.
Right.
All right. Perfect.
It's a steal.
Yeah. And again, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Should
okay.
Randomize?
I want to ask Tim 2 questions.
Tim, I was going to say, are you able to randomize her, Tim?
Yeah. Can you see it?
Okay. I do. Yes.
Here we go. My
Randy
goodness.
Arrowwood, Ron Kilmer, and Rick Robinson. Is that it? Is that the winners?
That's it.
All right. Good deal.
Hey, Tim.
Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that we ran a little behind on getting the door prizes out. So I've got the stock now, so I'll be able to catch up. And so I have the list of people that I still owe door prizes to, and I will make that up to you and then get back on track.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hi. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I just walked in the door a few minutes ago. Missed the presentation.
I've recorded it.
Oh, good. Hey, can I still get my few minutes on the steelhead trip?
Sure, go ahead.
Can I share a screen?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try to find that. Oh, well, I got whiteboard. Let's see what this is. Come on. No. I always do that. I double click on the doggone thing and then it brings
You can only
up.
share your screen if you can share your screen.
That's what I'm trying to do here, but I don't need that. That's, oh, wonderful.
Why don't I come over, Mike? It'll only take me 25 minutes to get
5 minutes to get here. I know, smart butt. Let me see here. I think I got it now.
Excuse me.
There.
Come on, slacker. Get it together.
Okay, I got that up. Now, if I go to share a screen, now I can't get back to where I was. Oh, poo. This is ridiculous.
Well, I'll do better. I'll share the whole thing.
Nope, here it is. Okay, now I tried to pull the doggone thing in and it didn't come up.
All right. Jack, why don't you run over there?
Yeah, never mind. I'm just trying to get some, set up for the steelhead trip or April. Stop the share. For April 26th and 27th. It's a Monday, Tuesday. I plan to go up on Sunday. Right now, Jack, did you get my email? Jack Randall?
I haven't checked yet, Mike. I just got home myself.
I was wondering if you would want to share the guided single trip on either Monday or Tuesday with Chris Van Dyke. He's looking for a partner.
Yeah, I think that's what we've already discussed.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're going to do that?
I would like to, yes.
Okay. What's your day, Monday or Tuesday?
It matters not to me. Monday would be okay, I guess.
Okay. So what I want to do is whatever day you guys pick, the other day will be 2 half-day trips. I'm going to take one of those, and there would be a slot for 2 guys for the other half day. And if they wanted to, they could even run up, if we do that on Tuesday, they could run up Tuesday morning and take the trip in the afternoon and then go right back home, and then they avoid any kind of overnight stay trip cost. So, it's
well, you guys can work that out.
Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow, Mike. I might be interested. So
okay. All righty. And the other thing I needed to know was whether you want to share a room or whether you want a room of your own. Okay.
I'll get in touch with you, Mike.
Okay. All righty, guys.
Anybody else have anything to share or questions or comments or suggestions?
I have 2 things I want to ask Tim. I don't want to hold everybody else up.
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, I'm trying to be informed. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, did the governor ever get to fire the commissioner of Fish and Wildlife?
Well, we don't have. Well, here's what happened. The legislature passed a piece of legislation that gave the Fish and Wildlife Commission the authority to hire the commissioner and set salaries. The governor vetoed that piece of legislation, and that veto was overturned the last day of the session. So right now, the authority to hire a commissioner and set salary rests with the Fish and Wildlife Commission.
Oh, good.
So he's still there.
But we don't, since that just happened, we still don't have a permanent commissioner.
So Rich still isn't the commissioner.
Right. So.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But
right,
my guess is that my guess is they'll get on that pretty quickly, since now the Fish and Wildlife Commission has that authority.
Yeah.
I vote for Josh.
That's all we've heard today as well.
Phil, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Or a comment. Beth will be going to the Wyoming camp, Buffalo Bill Cody, the first week of August, and there are still 2 slots left for the Buff group. So if somebody wanted to go and they couldn't go the second week of August, there's a possibility they could go with the Buff group.
Great.
Oh,
great. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I could get the word out about that across the club if you'd like.
Probably a good idea.
Okay.
They'll want to contact Jack Gormley, but right now the spots are open, so I don't see why they wouldn't want to take some people from Northern Kentucky. You can.
Well, I can check with him. I'm a Buff member as well.
I thought you were.
Yeah.
Jack Gormley is the guy.
Got it.
Okay.
Hey, is Paul Dusing still on? He had a second question.
Oh, he did? I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said he had 2 questions, and I don't see him up here now.
No, I think he dropped off, Mike.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
All right.
I'll get with him. Paul Dusing. Okay.
Okay, everybody.
Hey, good meeting.
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Yep.
You guys have a...
Next month.
Yeah,
is,
sorry I missed it.
Next month is Valerie Asprin. She's going to be speaking, and she's if you haven't heard her, she's just an awesome speaker.
So she's our speaker next month? Okay.
She did that Fly Fishing Kentucky book, didn't she, with the other fella?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ought to be interesting.
Yep, she's good. All right, thanks again.
Everybody, take care.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.